Today we are in beautiful Sedona, Arizona on the Hangover Trail, riding the brand new Spot Rollik 150. A little over a year ago was the first time I rode the Spot Rollik 607, this bike's predecessor. And it was on this trail that I had my first ride on it, and it blew me away. It was my favorite bike I'd ever ridden, and I got one immediately. I've been riding that bike for a year, and I absolutely love it. When Spot announced the 150, I was really curious. I didn't feel like I needed another bike, but they reached out to me and said, hey, are you interested in swapping frames with us? Give us your 607, we'll give you the 150 frame and see how you like it. And I said, done, because I like testing stuff. This bike is very similar to the 607, 150 rear travel, 160 front. But it has a really cool option that the 607 didn't, and that is a flip chip in here in this new yoke design. This new yoke design prevents any contact with the seat tube like the previous ones, and it allows you to flip it from a high position to a low position. I've been putting some good miles on this in Sedona lately, and the high position of the 150 feels identical to my old 607, so I didn't lose a thing on it. And then when you switch it to the low position, it's an entirely different animal. Today we're gonna start our climb in the high position. That gives me a slightly steeper head angle and a slightly steeper seat angle and a slightly higher bottom bracket, which is great for climbing. Then when we get to the top, we're gonna switch it and put it in low mode. This is not a review. These are just my impressions riding my bike. This bike is very similar to the 6-star build, except I've swapped out the wheels, I've got bigger rotors, and I'm running an MRP ribbon up front. Other than that, it's pretty much stock Spot build. Let's go ride it on one of the craziest, most scenic, amazing trails in the world. I'm here with my buddy Jay. Just the two of us on the trail today. Hangover Trail, double black diamond, extreme difficulty. This trail is no joke. Even though it looks easy in YouTube videos, you want to be able to clean highline and hogs before you come out here. A lot of side hills. This is my favorite climbing bike. I love the Living Link suspension. It does not bob. And it's so supportive. That leaf spring they have in the design allows it to flex and sag into the sag point. Hello. Oh, you're fine. I'll wait. You can get to a good spot.
Sure, you're the one that
You have the right of way. You're fine. Take your time. I need a break.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Go for it.
You're fine. Thank you. Thanks a lot. This is a great hiking trail. Anyway, Spot's Living Link suspension is my favorite suspension design for climbing. It climbs so well. It's really supportive, doesn't bob. You never need to lock it out with the climb switch. It's got a leaf spring in it that flexes and helps you get into the 30% sag point. Whew, this is a tough climb. Helps you get into your 30% sag point, and then it gets supportive and it holds you there. And it doesn't bob or move until you hit a big bump. So it makes it super efficient on long technical climbs or sprinty moves. You gotta feel it to understand it. It's like nothing else. Reminds me of Yeti Switch Infinity on the up, but even less active when you're up and sprinting. Man. Love this trail. It is tricky. Whew. I'm 5'6" and I'm riding a medium, and it's a good size for technical stuff like this, for steep descents and for bombing fast. My old bike was a small, which was a little bit easier to put around and move around, but I've been riding faster lately and I like the medium for that. What a trail, keeps you on your toes the whole time. So yeah, this bike is super efficient, whether it's a long fire road climb or a sprinty climb like Ahab or this, where you just need to put the power down and it accelerates real fast. And that matters a lot to me. If I have to flip a lever to stop the compression, I'm not interested in the bike. And then on the descents, man, this thing's fun. I can't wait to show you, especially in the low mode. But this bike is snappy and poppy without being sketchy. Still has a slack head angle, nice short chain stays, and in this high position, it just wants to pump everything and maintain momentum and keep its speed going forward. And then in the low setting, as you'll see, it's a little less of a slalom bike, a little less poppy and playful, and more of like a downhill charger, just like a race bike. And it's so fast and it soaks up the hits and just wants to go faster and faster. So for most rides, I'd leave it in the high position unless I have a long, fast, sustained downhill. And even in the high position, it's great at long, fast, sustained downhills, but it doesn't feel like a race bike like when it's in the low position. Pretty much everything I've said in my reviews about the 607 is true of this bike in the high position. Where's the trail? Only ridden this a couple times. Boy, the views here do not suck. It's a tricky climb. Bike climbs well, love it. 10 out of 10 on climbing. Only bike I've ridden that climbs better is the Spot Mayhem. They're 29er, a little bit lower travel bike.
Can I get it?
You're good. It'll grip. We've got no sand on it, so we're good. It's all in your head.
Yeah.
I guess that liken's not super. That's kind of slippery too. Here comes the hardest part of the whole climb. Yeah, you made it. This is a tough climb. Oh, I spun on the route. Almost to the saddle and then the dark side of the moon. Pretty cool. We made it to the saddle. It is beautiful up here. All right, now we're gonna flip the flip chip. All right, now we're gonna flip the flip chip into the low position. To do that, you need a 10mm, which most people never carry with them. I stole this off my old Toe Peak Alien, and a 25 T25 Torx. Check it out, pretty simple. Loosen it. Finger loose now. Then I push it, it pops out there. Loosen it a little more, pop it out. Then with our T25, we flip this. It changes the linkage. It moves it into the low position. It gives me a 65-degree head angle, a lower bottom bracket, and a slacker seat tube angle. And just like that, we're done. I wish it didn't require this, but it's not that bad once you have one. All right, now we're in party mode. This bike is slightly less poppy in this section. It's a little more of a plow bike. If I were going to the bike park, this is the setting I'd want. I get to practice my nose pivots here.
Yeah.
I'm not feeling this. I'm gonna live to ride another day today. Sorry, man. Whew, that's slippery. Some crazies come down that, but not me. So it feels a little less progressive in this mode as well. Just super plush. It just wants to charge, but it's still pretty efficient climbing. I've still climbed in this mode plenty of times, but just for the sake of this video, I wanted to demonstrate both angles. Ooh, we got some ice here. I'm gonna be careful.
Ice on the trail.
This trail has so much exposure. Freaked me out the first time I rode it. Most of these bushes will catch you. I had a pretty big crash on high on the hog last week, so I'm riding pretty cautious today. I bumped my bars on the left and high-sided off to the right. Fell about 30 feet down the trail. I don't want to do that today. A lot of these little handlebar bumpers that just want to bump you off to the right down the cliff. Yeah, nope. One thing I will mention in the low position, you do get significantly more pedal strikes. But that low ground hugging bottom bracket is just the coolest feeling on corners. Yeah, Jay, we are out of the dark side of the moon. Brock. Can I give Jay his room? Love that slack head angle for really steep stuff like this. Man, I've ridden this trail twice before, but it's not familiar yet. Here come the biggest moves yet. Yeah, it's pretty windy. I don't know if we're gonna ride this. Let's see.
It's bending my front wheel.
Woo! All right, wind's died down a little. See if I have the guts to hit this. Lots of control here. That's pretty nasty. This is where Mackie goes down, right there. I'm not quite feeling that. I think I'm just gonna come into this catch berm. All right, redo. All right, got it. Thanks, you guys. All right, despite the wind, rode it all. Woo! I need to ride this trail a few more times. Learn the lines. Definitely more composure on the longer bike with the low setting. I like it for that stuff. I need to learn this trail and ride it a little faster next time. I'm glad I rode that.
Yeah, man. Was the wind pushing your front wheel?
Dude.
That was a terrible idea.
Yeah.
When I saw you going for it, I'm like, no, he's not.
This reminds me of the notch in Moab. Oh, the line, I think, is to stay on top of that. We need to come do some trail work on this trail. This is about as rugged as a trail gets, about as raw. So I'm running 2.6 tires on a 36 mil wide Knox Kitsuma rim. I'm running Onyx hubs, which I love. XX1 build with an MRP ribbon up front. I'm running a bigger volume spacer than what comes with it. I'm running a 0.86. Now the trail gets chunky and flowy. Now low bottom bracket. Corner so well. Oh. Here we go. All that climbing, we finally get some down. Man, it accelerates so quick when you get on it. Thank you.
I just got one of the towels.
Nice.
So you're gonna put it on.
We got another hiker.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks.
All right.
So yeah, with the lower bottom bracket, corners so well. Slightly harder to manual than in the high position, but still super fun. This suspension platform is just so sturdy. Hello. Thank you. Goodness, it's the popular day to be hiking this. Thank you. This bike is also super quiet. You don't hear chains, you don't hear creaks, you don't hear suspension noises. Just so quiet. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna cross that. What a wild ride.
Nice, man.
Well done.
Survived it.
Woo! No crashes. She's a beauty. I painted all the red black on mine, that's why it looks a little different. Let's do a little summary on this bike as we cruise down. Summary. In high, I'm gonna say climbing 9.9 out of 10. The only better climber I found is the Spot Mayhem. Cornering in high, 9.9 out of 10. It corners so well. Playfulness, poppiness, pumping, jumping, 10 out of 10. It's just such a fun bike. And then in the low setting, climbing, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Still better than almost any bike out there, but it definitely climbs better in the high setting. Descending, 10 out of 10. It is so fun. Feels like a Pivot Firebird or a Mach 6 or an HD4. Just so smooth. Descending in the low setting. Cornering, 10 out of 10. It's not as poppy cornering as the high, but it's super planted with that low bottom bracket. You just rail corners. You do get some more pedal strikes with it being a little lower, but that's something I'm willing to get for the increased cornering and the feeling of being closer to the ground. Playfulness and poppiness in the low, I'm gonna give it an 8. It just feels a little more like a plow bike. I don't know, maybe I should give it a 9. It's somewhere between an 8 and a 9. I keep forgetting, compared to most bikes, it's still so playful. But compared to the high setting is definitely more playful. Low setting's more of like a smash plow bike, race bike where you just want to go as fast as possible. The high position's a little more fun for most trails. The low position just turns it into an enduro weapon for bombing down hills. That's it. This is the Spot Rollik 150. I love this bike. I'm biased because Spot gave this to me in exchange for my old one. So this is not an unbiased review, but I'm a huge fan of Spot bikes. So the disadvantage of Spot bikes is they're not sold in bike shops. So you can't test one in a bike shop. You have to go to an event or go to Spot's headquarters, or you have to go to something like Outer Bike or one of the festivals to ride one. The benefit of being consumer direct is it's a lot cheaper than comparable bikes. So that's something to take into consideration. But I love this bike. It's my favorite bike